Hey everyone, Lauren from A Girl in Her Wool here. So today I'm going to be doing a project highlight video. This is a wrap that I recently finished knitting. It's the Mimeograph pattern, which is a pattern by Pam Grushkin. And Pam very nicely designed this pattern using my hand-dyed yarn, A Girl in Her Wool, on my sock base. And she designed it out of my rose gold gradient. And I ended up knitting it as a test knit using my Mountain Springs Lake gradient, and you're going to hear all about that and more in today's video. So let's just get into it. I will definitely be showing you photos throughout. I don't think me wearing it will really show it too well, so I won't be doing that. It's also a gajillion degrees outside, so even though I am in a nice climate controlled house, the thought of wearing wool right now is not too lovely. But again, this is and I'll hold it up for the most part so you can see it live. But this is the wrap. It is a rectangular wrap. I think it's more scarf-like, but it is pretty wide for a scarf. And I used my hand-dyed yarn. This is A Girl in Her Wool on the sock base. And it's in my gradient set called the Mountain Springs Lake gradient set, which goes from a dark brown into, you know, lighter browns, and then it goes into the blues, and it gets darker and darker. So this is the 10 skein set. The pattern is designed using my yarn. The original sample in the pattern uses my rose gold gradient, but I wanted to change it up and use the Mountain Springs Lake one just to show another example of it. And it uses 10 20-gram skeins on my sock base. I will say, so overall this is a pattern that just repeats, a 10-row repeat throughout, and it's just a really nice textured, fun pattern. It's got some ripples in there. Let me show it on one of the lighter colors because I think it'll come up a bit better. But yeah, nice textured pattern. So obviously this works really great for the gradients, and she does build in transitions so that way it smooths out the gradient even that much more. But I could also see using this for mini skein sets. If you have some random mini skein sets, it is 200 grams total. The yardage would be then about 920 yards. If you were to use the entirety of what the pattern calls for. I would also use mini skein scraps. If you have leftovers, I would definitely use that. I don't think it has to transition from color to color. You could just transition from, you know, scrap project to, or scrap yarn to scrap yarn, and I think that it would work really well for that too. You can make it as wide or as narrow as you want by just adding in some more repeats or taking some out. You can also make it as long or as short as you want. So the pattern itself calls for 5 rounds of the 10-row repeat. I only did 4 in each color before moving on to one of the transition repeats, and that's because I'm pretty short. I'm 5'2" on a good day, just about 5'2", and I don't need a super long scarf, and so I did shorten it. And so I just think that that means that if you have smaller scraps, larger scraps, you can kind of stripe it as you want, and I think it would just be a really fun scrappy leftover type project. If you have coordinating skeins or not, I think that would work in this pattern. In terms of knitting it, I will say I thought going into the project, I thought it was going to be a great like grab and go project. Knit on it, have the pattern memorized, and just be able to knit on it whenever I wanted to without thinking. For some reason, I could not memorize this pattern. I couldn't read the knitting so well, and after a while I just stopped trying, and I just printed out and I never print out patterns either. I usually use my phone. But I ended up printing out the page that had the 10-row repeat on it and just put check boxes next to it in pen. And then I would check off which row I was on using pencil. And then after I finished a color, I just erased the check marks and started over again. So that was necessary. So this was for me just like a sit at the table, sit on the couch with the pattern right next to me type of knit. So maybe you can memorize it and it's a good grab and go. For me, it was a stay home and knit project. That being said, because of the color transitions and because it's only a 10-row repeat, it did go quick. I kept saying, let me just finish this repeat. Let me just finish this repeat. And then before you know, it was like, oh, well, I only have one more repeat in this color. Let me just do that. And then before you know it, you're through the project. There were some times where I didn't have enough yarn to finish both the repeats and the transition repeats, and I just moved on, and I think it's fine. You know, it all blends in. It's long enough, like I said. And she has instructions that kind of say that in the pattern. So again, I think it's a really fun pattern. I think it's great for smaller skeins. Obviously, it's for gradients. I love dyeing gradients, and so for me to have good pattern suggestions like this is awesome. It's been an honor to... Hi, Notch. Is there a shawl in your way? I do have kits available in my shop. So I have kits, and I'll have the full list on my blog at agirlandherwool.com, probably also on Instagram, or just go to my shop and you'll see the Mimeograph kits. And in there will be kits available on this gradient, my Mountain Springs Lake gradient, my Rose Gold gradient. You might see it on Fairy Shadow, I'm not sure. And then I'm gonna have a few mini skein sets available. So my Frozen mini skein set, which is a really pretty teal, blue, purple, gray mini skein set, that I'm gonna have 5 40-gram skeins, so you still get up to your 20 grams. I think what I would do if I were doing it that way is probably progress through the mini skeins twice. So do 20 gram, you know, do half of each skein and then do it again. Or if you think about it, like these are the two ends, you could kind of go through the mini skein set like colors 1 through 5 and then 5 through 1, so the two ends of the shawls match. You could do it that way. I think that would be pretty cool. So I'll have that on my Frozen set, and then just check to see what other kits I kind of came up with. Again, they're all going to be on my sock base, and they're all going to have 200 grams total. So Nacho is going to tear this apart, so we're just going to put it on the table behind me. And that is it. So just a quick project highlight on the mimeograph that I knit out of my Mountain Springs Lake gradient. Definitely go check it out. Go check out the kits. The kits in my shop will be yarn only. The pattern will be sold separately on Ravelry, and I'm not sure if she sells anywhere else right now. And that is that. So I hope you're all getting through your knitting. I have some other finished objects and fun projects. I don't know when this is airing, so by now you might know, but I have been knitting away like a champion lately, which has been great because it was a busy few months without knitting, and so I'm glad I am back at it. And I hope you're all enjoying your knitting and your summer and your time. So I will see you soon. Bye.